Estamos con el señor Frank Miller. Vamos a platicar con él y bueno, agradecerle. Thank you very much, Mr. Miller.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Well, thank you. Me acompaña Mauricio Matamoros, director editorial de DC Comics. Y bueno, vamos a comenzar. Here we are at the La Mole, and is everything almost up to you. How do you feel about it?
It's great. Everybody's been wonderful. Seeing the fans here, they're all so energetic. Everything seems beautiful.
So it's been like 30 years since The Dark Knight returns, and the people are exciting. How do you feel about this transcendence in the world with your work, in your person?
Oh, it's just a joy. Well, for me, it's every dream come true because it gives me. I'm paid to do what I would want to most do for fun, and on top of that, it gives me terrific freedom as an artist to move in different directions, both into all my new material like Sin City and 300 and Xerxes, but also to come and revisit these legends like Batman and Superman.
Here in Mexico, we are publishing for the third time Dark Knight, and the people are exciting. We are now with a race edition, and it's like there's no enough with your work.
Well, then I'll just have to keep doing more of it. Yeah.
Okay, what can you tell us about the Superman Year One that is coming?
I'm working with John Romita on it, and it is revisiting the beginnings of Superman, but just like Batman Year One, it's showing it in ways you haven't seen before. The artwork is coming in; it's very, very exciting. It's very beautiful, but it's just like Batman Year One and Dark Knight. We're trying to show everybody that Batman was just the most wonderful character in the whole universe of DC. Now the job is to show everybody the same thing about Superman.
Dark Knight Returns have strong comments and image about the social and political scene of the time. Now the time maybe is more violent and political than in the 80s. What do you think of this? How do you have to represent this on the superhero today?
The idea is to always react to what is going on at the time. I've got to say that every generation comes up and says, now is a much more frightening and violent time than we've ever had before. When in fact, good times come and go. And it always just seems, since we're living through the violence and the terrors of the day, it seems like this is the worst time there ever was. I've got to tell you that World War II was a lot scarier than this is. It's just that we have different things that as cartoonists we can look at as social issues, as historical events, and as cartoonists we can really look at also the things that we can make fun of. Because one of the great things about cartooning is that you can look at things that are very frightening or very angering, and you can put a funny hat on them, and then you can really get your barbs in. Richard Nixon was obsessed with some of the political cartoonists out there. He's much more upset with them than he was with the editorial writers. So you could think of a cartoonist as being kind of like the court jester. He could say anything to the king, whereas nobody else could. It's a question that gets asked every time out. That this is old, this is tired, this is commercial, this is very conservative, this is all of that. You just rip the lid off it. Usually you just go back to what it always was. And you go back to the age when Batman was a terrifying guy who dangled criminals off rooftops, or Superman would go to the front of a battlefield and take the generals from both sides and put them in the front lines and say, "You two sort this out," challenging them to solve the war rather than to kill their soldiers. So the superhero can be anything you want it to be, but Superman was not created as a conservative character. Um, these things just get altered by time. Mostly, what altered the image of the superhero was the censorship of the 1950s that made comic books pretty awful for a long time. But we're getting them better again. In fact, they've been getting better for a long time. We argue a lot. We argue a lot, yeah. And but good ideas are exchanged that way. Arguments are healthy. It's just ideas fly around the room. It's a lot of fun. We both essentially love the material. Oh, it goes both ways. My work from the very beginning was deeply affected by movies, and that I brought that into all the superhero work with Daredevil and Dark Knight. But where it really paid off most was in Sin City, which was very much based on the crime movies of the 1940s and 50s.
What could happen with Doctor Strange series that were announced in the 80s if you could done it with this character?
I think that the Doctor Strange, obviously, it would have been, it really would have started as a tribute to Steve Ditko and his wonderful visions, and it would have gone into much more of an examination of the subconscious, the way it was with Steve Ditko, but we just barely started putting it together before I was able to do it.
And which other character would you like to work in?
Superman. That's the main one that I'm dying to do and eager to do.
Finally, one guy said, I don't want to ask, I just want to thank for his work. So that's a message.
First, you're welcome, then thank you back, and then keep watching. There's more coming.
Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.